The Roman Gabriel Show. Listen to The Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Jack Youngblood here, promoting Gabe on the new
Roman Gabriel Show.
McDonald's with us. He's the author of Thru the Tunnel, and that's available on Amazon Books or anywhere books are sold. Please go out and get it. It sounds like to me, Paul, that this is a nice read for parents that may be dealing with exactly what you're talking about with how to help their kids. And through this pandemic, one of the things we found out is that the parents are experiencing the same thing the kids are. So the kids are influenced by the responses of their parents. And there's been a lot of negative, loss of jobs, sickness, illness, death. So, you said there's a perception to go negative, but in this case, there was real negative.
Yes,
which makes that even, multiplied. So tell me about, from a parent's perspective, how you think this book will be helpful.
It's helpful for anybody that has a pulse, really. But the book is designed for target audience, high school, college kids, or 20-something kids. And I think parents all want the best for their children. But there's no book on how to do that, is there, Roman? There's how to raise your kids. It's all very different. It's all very new. And I think there's so often I've seen parents in sports that have children that are performing, that they're vicariously living their lives through their kids. And that's absolutely the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is expose them to a lot of things, but know that it's their path, and they're going to discover what they really want to do and where they want to spend their time. And forcing anything or anybody to do something they don't want to do will never work. There'll always be angst. There'll always be separation, and you won't have the relationships that you're looking for. So, being supportive of the children, encouraging the children. I'll tell you one quick story. So Matthew is the young son. We've got 3 boys and a daughter, my wife and I, Allison, and they all have stories in the books too. So you learn a little bit about my family. But Matthew was 10 years old, really good athlete. Of course, now he's a starting quarterback for Bowling Green. So he's a D1 football player. But he was a good player. He was really a good basketball player too. Really good at 10 years old. So one night I'm going in his room to tuck him in, and he asked me, "Dad, should I be a professional football player or a professional basketball player, or both?" Okay. So I would venture to say most parents would have probably chuckled at that and responded, "Son, don't get over your heels on this one, over your skis on this one. Just, that's really a hard thing to do." But no, we need to fuel the dreams for these kids. Okay. So that doesn't mean that they're going to get there, but why, smother a dream of a kid that thinks they can do something? Let's encourage them. So I said, "Matthew, that's completely up to you, and anything is possible. If you want it badly enough and that's important to you, and a lot of things have to happen, but it absolutely is possible. So I'd say just keep doing what you're doing." So that was kind of my response. Now, who knows if he's going to be a professional athlete, but I think that messaging, and I would say 5 to 7 years after that, he and I had a conversation about that. He said, "Dad, I just want to thank you for always being so positive with me." Right? Yeah. And that's all kids want. That's all we all want. We want acknowledgement as a human being that we've done something right. We're good at something, that we're loved. That's
the number one reason that teenagers list for turning to drugs and alcohol is lack of hope. They don't feel like they're going to have the same opportunity their parents had. They feel discouraged because of maybe the home life they live in or the mistakes that they've made. But what you did for your son was you took the pressure off by just allowing him to dream big and allowing him to go after his dream. But obviously, we both know that it takes a ton of hard work and a ton of thoughtfulness to be able to get where he is now, to play, at the Division I level as a quarterback. So obviously, your attitude is rubbed off on him in terms of his approach to sports and life. And I think books like this, and again, it's Thru the Tunnel, true stories of sports and life that empower the spirit. And I think when we talk about spirit, we're talking about somebody's soul. We're talking about somebody's emotions. We're talking about somebody's hope, somebody's mental capacity. And so many professionals today are saying what you said earlier, which is, if you're going to be successful in raising your kids in the current atmosphere you're in, you have to understand that the negatives far outweigh the positives in terms of how these kids are getting hit from all sides. And unlike when you and I grew up, where parents could shield us from some of the negative things, today the kids can't be shielded, because when you go on your phone, not only are you a target of predators, but you're a target of people who want something from you, who have programmed that message in a psychological way to get it. That kids don't even know that the approach is concerted and it's intentional, of how they're trying to get kids to be or do what they want them to do, or buy what they want them to buy. So what you're talking about here is more of a holistic approach, at home, not just as a parent, but teaching kids the right mental frame that can give them the best opportunity, even in the worst situations. Would that be right?
Yes, it's really, there's a chapter, the one thing you can control. And that is, and there's, in my mind, there is one thing that we can't control, and that's how we respond to any given situation. Doesn't matter what the situation is, pointing at an individual, pointing at a parent, pointing at a friend, pointing at a teacher, pointing at the market, pointing at the weather, pointing at whatever, the environment I was raised in, that's not an empowered state to operate on. The empowered state to operate in is, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what's in front of me. What am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? What can I do? And that's very powerful, to come at life that way. And is it easy? Not really, because you've got to take initiative. You have to be proactive. Okay. And as you know, Roman, when we're proactive with intentional is another word that you just mentioned, good things happen when we set that mental framework. And there's a chapter on visualization in the book about visualizing. You can do that, visualize the life you want to have, right? And there's power in that, and seeing it happen before it happens.
And I would say that's one thing when you and I grew up and when we were playing that may not have been to that degree, but visualization was something that we did know about, because I can remember on Friday nights before a college football game, the next day, of laying in bed, going through all the plays in my mind and then matching those plays with what defense I might see and where would I go with the ball. So visualization has been around for a long time, but today it's even more powerful, because visualization is that tool that allows you to get from point A to point B with that more positive mindset, having some sort of skill. And that's what I think is missing in some of our educational places today, is kids really don't have that practice item or something that can help them right now that's simple, that they can take responsibility for and practice. So it sounds like not only is this book going to be good for anyone, but for coaches as well, because paradigm shifted with coaches. You and I came from a time where you tore somebody down to build them up.
Right.
That's how coaches did it. But now they realize, I think, Tony Dungy and the Bobby Bowdens of the world probably had a lot of influence on this, because once they realized that coaches that were positive like that once they won, when Coach Dungy won the Super Bowl, suddenly coaches were asking themselves, well, maybe this tearing down deal isn't the right way to go about it.
It's a different society today. It's different. The young kids respond differently. And I think it's a good thing in how they respond. A lot of people see it's very negative, how people are entitled and all this and that. I think kids are more aware of knowing what they want and what they don't want and responding accordingly, instead of, I think, Roman, we were raised in the thing where, okay, there's the brick wall, go run through that. And you just keep running through it until you knock it down. That's it. Kids today, I think, are more oriented towards, hey, I'm going to climb over this thing, or I'm going to move around this thing, or I'm going to get a, stick of dynamite and put it in there and knock it down, instead of, but we did what we were told to do. I think, there's an element to society today with younger people, younger generations, which I really love. I mean, they're like, wait a minute, I'm not going to do it. They see, it's interesting. They see our parents, half the country's divorced. So they're like, do I really want to get married? Do I want to, I think, so they're questioning how things have been done, which there's an element of good to that for sure. But I think the other thing is it has, we never took the time, Roman, I didn't, until I turned 50 years old, to go inward and say, who is Paul really?
Right.
What does Paul really want? And I answer those questions. Does Paul want to stay married? Do I want to stay married? Do I want to continue working the job I'm working in? By the way, after going through all that process, I stayed in the same job. I just looked at it differently. I shifted my perspective on it. I got a lot of help from my daughter in that. My daughter was all about relationships. So instead of looking and searching for the quota and meeting the quota of the sales deal that I had, I was more interested. I shifted into one that where relationship was more important. How can I build relationships with people? And with the thought being, before I went into a sales call, you know what? This person I'm about to meet, I could become one of my best friends.
Right.
I don't know. Let's get to know somebody that I haven't met for the very first time and see where that goes, instead of, what can I get from this person? What I'm saying? So I little contrary to some people, because I hear this all the time with our generation, Roman, that, these kids today are entitled and they don't want to work hard and all that stuff. I think there's an element of that that's really, really good. And yeah, search for that thing that you really love to do. And that's in the book, and go do that and go make a difference in this world. Right. So
the thing that's good about passion, what you're talking about, is passion turns on all those positive thoughts and all those positive endorphins. Yes. Thru the Tunnel is the name of the book, Paul McDonald, and it's a very interesting read. Not only are you going to learn some things about Paul and his family and about USC football, about his football career, and then some very, very successful people from different backgrounds that are kind of images and mirrors of the concepts that he's getting across in this book. But for those of you out there who want to look at things from a different perspective, to be a little more intentional about your own life in terms of where you're at, this is a great book to get. And Paul, I was going to ask this question because you and I come from a very similar background. Neither one of us were 5-star athletes coming out of high school. We know what being a backup's all about, and working your way up to number one, waiting for that opportunity and getting in. You certainly did that at USC as a third-string quarterback as a freshman, and then a backup as a sophomore. For kids out there that do meet that, that aren't the superstar athlete, that have talent, that are willing to work hard, that really want what they want, like your son was talking to you about, having that passion to really want to succeed at whatever they want to do. Could you speak into our students out there who are in that position like you and I have been in, about the secret to what it takes to endure to get to that point where you get your opportunity and you have the opportunity to seize it?
Well, I'll quote Kobe Bryant. And we feature him in the chapter Trust the Process. It's not about the outcome. It's not about it is the journey. It is, I mean, I know that's cliche, but it is absolutely the journey. That's why it's so important to really dig what you're doing. Really, and you did, and I did, and we answered the question, how important is this to me? And for you and for me, it was very important to keep doing it, because there was enough there that we can get our arms around. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, and we did what we needed to do to get and win the job ultimately. And, you may not get there. You may not get there, but the process of going through as an athlete, to get to the promised land, that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. We're here to just, learn lessons along the way on the journey, doing something that we love to do. And, affecting people positively in the process. And trusting, okay. Trusting the flow of life. Okay. So, I tell a story about, my son, Andrew, in the book. And he really wanted to be a D1 player, but it didn't work out at Arizona. So he went back to junior college, to have that second opportunity. He had a great, couple of years at Santa Ana College, got a scholarship to New Mexico State, got to play D1 football, and he did fine. He did fine. But the real, and he was a starter his senior year. But the real thing that came out of that is he met his wife there, who was actually from Huntington Beach. So here they are in Las Cruces, New Mexico. He's from Newport. She's from Huntington Beach. They meet in Las Cruces, New Mexico. She's a soccer player. They're married. They've got a child on the way. So that's why it all worked out the way it worked out. That was the point in time in the process of his life. It wasn't like chasing that brass ring of sports. It was there to meet the girl of his dreams.
The Roman Gabriel Show.
Create your own routines. How do I do that? I set intention. I take and choose the action that matches that intention.
Hey guys, I'm Camille Schreier, Miss America 2020.
I'm Coach D. Go to soldouttv.com and take the pledge.
And I want you to go to soldouttv.com and take the drug and alcohol abstinence pledge.
To not drink or do drugs.
It will benefit you and your future.
I took the Sold Out pledge and I was very excited about it.
So I want to challenge you. Take the Sold Out pledge. Go there, finish it. Let me know what you think of our program.
Really appreciate the Sold Out program coming. I always tell our kids, you got to put in 110% into everything that you do, and don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something.
Because the intention doesn't matter unless the action is there to follow. Then you're going to start getting results.
You can continue to make improvements. You can't ever think that you're satisfied. You got to continue to build and grow and learn and evolve. And some things are, going to challenge you, but you got to fight through those things.
Leave every ounce of effort.
Students, this is Roman Gabriel III. I just want to remind you to please go to soldouttv.com to follow up with your pledge. We had a ton of you guys that took the Sold Out Alcohol Abstinence Pledge, pledging to be alcohol abstinent and drug abstinent at soldouttv.com. Get a feel for our 365 Student Success Program, our brand new fitness, health, and wellness program.
And circle down, right hand down, left hand down.
My mental skills tools I'm going to give to you to help empower you.
I think it's awesome that we have these people influencing us.
Really excited to go on the website and learn more about it.
Challenge you. Take the Sold Out pledge. Go there, finish it. Let me know what you think of our program. It's really important for us that you tell us and give us feedback.
The Roman Gabriel Show.
Well, you mentioned the process too, that a lot of the process is staying in the present, not getting ahead of yourself. So many kids today, they don't want to enjoy where they're at because they're so looking forward to being at the next level. And, I've always tried to tell kids that, you have to want to be great right where you're at. And once you accomplish that, then the transition to the next level isn't that big a transition. But if you're not going to put the work in where you're at, each level is going to become harder and harder and harder to happen. That was a great example because I can remember after the 2006 Super Bowl that Tony Dungy won, we filmed him there and he invited me to come to Indianapolis the first preseason game after their Super Bowl victory. And the question I had was, after all these years of having the winningest record in the league, averaging 11 wins for 6 or 7 years, but coming close, but never getting to the Super Bowl, but then finally getting over the hump this last year and winning it. What's next? Where do you go from here? And he said the same thing, Paul. He said, listen, it's not about the end result for me. And that's the way I feel and try to translate to our team. It's about the process. Every year is different. Every year is interesting in its own way. And the bottom line for me is the Super Bowl was never the quest. Now, I know from a professional level, that's our goal. It's everybody's goal. But my goal is that I would build into these young men. I already knew they were great football players when they came, but I want to see them be great men, great husbands, and great in giving back and making a difference in the world. And I thought, how that was such 180 degrees different than the coach that some of the coaches we had to say, hey, I really don't give a darn what you do out there as long as I get everything of you right here. So again, same goal, but totally different outcome in terms of the balanced student athlete as opposed to the chasing the ring one thought athlete. You know what I mean?
We live in a specialized world, we live in it. So specialists, and if you're going to be a doctor, you get your MD, and then if you really want to take it to another level, then you become a specialist in orthopedic, and then you can be specialist in shoulder or whatever, so or a brain surgeon in some specific area of the brain, and those people that are super specialists like that get rewarded by making a lot of money, typically, right? But to get that, to have that level of success, you have to sacrifice a lot. And, there is, we talk about balance in the book, and, there's all these different aspects of your life. And the shamans, who are the, spiritual people, Central America, they're all around the world, but they believe in moderation. Moderation is an absolute key to life, and that means not overdoing in any one thing or another, right? So you have to be very mindful and cognizant of what areas of life you have, and you have to take personal time. If you just work your brains out, and you don't take time for Roman or Paul to just be still and to relax, and that includes sleep and just having your own time, you could have burnout. Then that could lead to health issues, and that could lead to maybe marriage issues. There's a trickle down effect. So we have to be mindful of all those different aspects in our life. And granted, when we were in training camp, that was it. I mean, it was just football 24/7 for 4 or 5 weeks. There are those moments, yes. And if, like the time that we wrote the book, Jack Barrich, my partner and I, who put this together, there was this focused effort of about 6 months, concerted effort. But here's an interesting story. We did that during COVID because I had time,
right?
Because the world stopped, right, for about 3 months. And so that's when I really dug in to put the time in to write the book.
So you were able to take adversity and turn it into a positive.
Yes.
You were talking about.
Correct.
And that's all about outlook and all about seeing the opportunity and grasping it, and not. I heard a psychologist. It's funny, we had the interview today, but I was listening to a psychologist on Instagram who was speaking to a group of people, and he said, when we walk out the door every day, our brains are wired to think negatively. Like he said, we can go by a beautiful sunset on a freeway going 55 and never notice it. But if we go by an accident, everybody slows down to look at the disaster. And he was talking about how that's how our minds work. So we've got to reprogram our minds to be positive, and complaining is kind of like the garbage or trash of negative thinking. So he talked about, speaking positives, about trying to eliminate that negative thoughts. But he said that's got to be a concerted effort every day, because it isn't because we want to do it. It's because that's the way we're wired mentally. So these are things where you're self-aware. And the book, again, and we appreciate Paul coming on, Thru the Tunnel. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Put that up for us again, Paul, so they can see the cover. It's Paul in the Coliseum, a place where he made a lot of history with the 78 USC Trojans that were national champions. And he brings some champions to the table in this book. And he and Jack did a wonderful job. This is a great read, especially if you're looking to self-improve and you're looking to help your kids too. I think it's great for athletics as well. So Besides Amazon Books, Paul, is there anywhere else we need to let them know they can get the book?
Well, Roman, you know this. Jack and I have launched a company called Game Change, and the mission for Game Change is to build a stable of sports-related people that have similar messaging, that are aligned with empowering people and giving people the opportunity to be inspired, or for others to inspire that want to go to the site. So it's going to be a platform. We'll have content on there, but you can get the book on GameChangeNation.com is the actual website, GameChangeNation.com. But they could go there, and we're super excited about that. And Roman, potentially, our paths are going to continue to cross down the road, and we'll all do our part. I think the end game, and I think this happens probably as you get a little older in life, but it doesn't have to. In small ways, anybody can impact society positively, and that's what we all want to do. And that's if we had more people that were thinking that way, we wouldn't have a lot of the issues that we have in the world we have today.
Yeah, and I think Paul would agree with this. To my audience, we talk about this a lot. You don't have to be a professional athlete, an entertainer, a famous person to have big impact. All of you have people that watch you every day. You're in your workplace, you're at home. Some of you may have, 20 people that you impact, some 1,000, some, just happens to be in the world we live in with professional athletics and entertainment. It's hundreds of thousands, but the premises are the same. All of us can have that impact. And Paul, I know this book's going to have that impact. And in fact, I'm looking forward to, it's also audio, right? Audio as well?
It's digital right now.
Okay.
I've got to take the time to go in studio.
There you go. So it will be available at some point. Now,
it will be.
It's paperback now. Will it be hardback, or are you staying with paperback?
Paperback for now.
Okay.
We might do a run for hardcover at some point in time, but we're also doing a series of podcasts that Jack and I are doing together that relate to each chapter. So ultimately we'll have another release, I don't know, sometime the end of the year.
What's the name of that, and where can we find the podcast?
What's Game Change? You go to Game Change.
Game Change. Okay.
Yeah, go to Game Change, GameChangeNation.com.
Okay, great.
We'll take you to the website, and there'll be we're releasing those weekly. So there's a number of them on the site right now, but embedded within the digital version of the book will be a link to each podcast for those people that would want to go dive a little more deeply into the subject.
Well, very exciting, Paul. And again, Thru the Tunnel, get it, Amazon Books, or Game Change one time, Game Change.
GameChangeNation.com.
GameChangeNation.com for the podcast and to get the book as well. And for those that want an autograph, can they ask for that on GameChangeNation.com?
Yeah, I guess we could do that. Yeah,
we got a lot of USC fans out there.
Yeah, we got.
Paul.
Well, we're going to do some book signings. We're going to do one at one of the SC games. It's going to be the Cal game this year, and I don't even have the date available to me. But we're going to do, and we'll probably do a couple other book signings this year. I'm sure we'll announce that on the website.
I'm going to have you at the Super Bowl do one. So we're going to pull out the Super Bowl at Super Bowl 57 in Phoenix. He's going to do that for us too. So get your hands on this book. Like I said, everybody's going through a tough time right now with COVID and post-COVID and how to handle the fallout. Well, this is a book that can be very helpful for that. So parents, get out there and get it, and be very aware of what your children are going through. As Paul said, he had some great stories about his own kids today about how this mindset rubbed off on them. So we want your children to have every opportunity to be successful. We live in a great country, so I hope you guys will go out and get it. Thru the Tunnel on Amazon and GameChangeNation.com. Paul, it's always great having you. You're always welcome back, and great having you again on the Roman Gabriel Show. Appreciate you, buddy.
Always love being on with you, Roman. You're a great dude, and thanks for doing all that you do out there in the world.
You bet. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the Roman Gabriel Show. And for more exclusive video and audio archives, go to our official website at RomanGabrielShow.com. That's RomanGabrielShow.com. And enjoy. We'll see you soon.
Listen to The Roman Gabriel Show at RomanGabrielShow.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.